Hello, today I'm going to be reading a Sallyface X Psychologist listener, which is called I Believe You, and it's a one-shot again. The mind is a wondrous thing. Why does it make us do the things we do? How does it decipher good from evil? These are all questions that the young psychologist Star wondered. It was your first day at the Knockfall prison as the secondary psychologist following after Dr. Enon. As crime rates spiked in a small town of Knockfall, the little town found themselves in search for an extra psychologist as required by the law. Lucky for them, a young graduate named Star Lynn was in search for a job at the same time. Making her way down the desolate, cold hallways, she approached her office where she was scheduled to meet her first client. Opening the door, she smiled at the inmate in front of her. He couldn't have been much older than her, with his vibrant blue hair, though that wasn't the most interesting part about him. No, on his face he wore a prosthetic mask that covered everything except his eyes. The male looked taken aback and glared in suspicion at the newcomer. "Where's Dr. Enon?" he asked in a surprisingly deep voice. Star continued with a smile before sitting across from him. "My name's Dr. Lin. I'm taking over for some of Dr. Enon's clients, though you can call me Star if it makes you feel more comfortable." The man, Sal Fisher, looked skeptical before sitting down. "Let me guess, you want me to take off my mask as well?" he asked in a cold voice while Star read through his files. "Now, why would I make you do that? The point of this is for you to be comfortable enough to tell me the truth. If that means you wish to keep your mask on, then go ahead." Sal was surprised at her answer. All of his previous psychologists, including Dr. Enon, demanded that his mask was removed. Slowly, he lowered into the chair across from her, hands and legs bound. Star looked up and glared at the chains before looking into Sal's eyes. "Would you like those removed?" Sal, along with the guards, were surprised at her offer. One guard stepped forwards. "Miss, do you know who this is? How many people he's—" Star rose a hand to silence the officer inside. "Of course I do. I have read his files and charges, but in order to get the truth, he must be comfortable. Now, if you will, remove the chains." Sal was skeptical of the new psychologist. Who would voluntarily allow a killer to be free of chains? Once the chains were removed, Star sat back and smiled. "So, Sal, why don't we start from the beginning?" Sal cringed, knowing she most likely meant his attack and the death of his mother. Let's start with when you moved." Nodding his head, he began the story of when he moved, how he met Larry, and even the craziness of Charlie. Star nodded and listened intensely, every once in a while taking notes on her black notebook. Before they knew it, their time was up. Sal had only gotten to the part of Charlie's arrest, but strangely, he felt sad that he had to leave. Star smiled and offered her hand to shake. "Well, I must say, I'm excited for our new arrangement. It seems we must stop just as the story's beginning to get good." Sal glared slightly. "It's not a story, it's the truth." Star looked slightly taken aback, but quickly shook it off. "I know that Mr. Fisher calling it a story doesn't make it any less true." The guards approached and rechained Sal before escorting him out. "I look forward to our next meeting, Mr. Fisher," Star called after him, waving and smiling. Against his better judgment, Sal found himself smiling as well, secretly counting the minutes till his next appointment. After 2 days, Sal once again found himself in the meeting room. "Afternoon, Mr. Fisher." Sal cringed at the use of his last name. "Mr. Fisher, it reminds me of what everyone called my dad, so please, don't. Just call me Sal, or Sally, or anything but Mr. Fisher." Nodding, she smiled and opened her casual black notebook. "Of course, Sal. My apologies. Now let's begin where we left off." The two began talking once again, with Sal telling his story while Star occasionally questioned him. The two talked so freely, it was as if they were best friends telling each other about their weekend plans instead of a convicted murderer trying to explain why he killed multiple people. Once again, before they knew it, their time was up. Wow, your story is... Sal cringed. Totally fake, psychotic, something only an idiot would believe. He asked, quoting many past psychologists. Star sighed and shook her head. Complicated. I do believe you. I mean, why would you make up all this stuff? But many won't. Both of the adults sighed before looking up. A light blush coated Star's cheeks, causing her to clear her throat. I will see you tomorrow, Mr. Sal. Hopefully we can tie up any loose strings by then. Sal gruffly nodded, but once again felt that sadness wash over him. He was escorted out of the room with little time to say goodbye, only enough time to produce a small wave. That night, Sal found himself thrashing around as the voices of his dead friends and family echoed throughout his mind. Star was called urgently by the doctors, begging her to come in and calm him down, as no one could even get near him with a sedative at the moment. Rushing back to the prison, she bursted into the area where Sal's cell was inside at the site. Sal sat curled up in a corner, armed men and doctors surrounding him. His mask was off, thrown somewhere, forgotten, and his eyes, darted around like a rabid animal. Thank God you're here, Dr. Lin. He just started freaking out randomly and attacking anyone who approaches him. We thought that maybe you could help and calm him down. Star nodded, slightly scared at the thought of being with him in that state, but she trusted him enough to hope he wouldn't hurt her. Slowly, she took off her coat and entered the cell. Walking closer, her footsteps attracted his attention. His eyes widened and he frantically kicked out and covered his torn face. No, go away! Go away! I'm only gonna end up hurting you too. He wailed. Star's heart broke at the sight of him like this. All wounded and defenseless, she continued to approach and crouch down next to him. It's okay, Sal. You're not going to hurt me. She spoke softly. Sal frantically shook his head, his hands still covering as much of his face as he could. Oh, you don't understand. Everyone around me gets hurt. Everyone I care about leaves. He frantically wailed out. Star knelt down directly in front of him and carefully gripped his hand. Slowly peeling them away, Star stared him down and smiled. Slowly pulling him into a hug, she cradled him and softly sighed. I'm not going anywhere. Shh, it's okay, I'm not leaving. Sal sobbed into her shoulder, embracing her warmth and comfort, both a thing that he dearly missed. No one's going to ever believe me, he sobbed out, his heart breaking at the final realization that he was going to die. Star shook her head and continued to rock the broken male before sighing, I believe you. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye!